Do you ever hear yourself saying, I feel like you don't care, you're making me so angry? In this film, we're going to look at how thoughts and feelings are not the same thing. And when we say feel, sometimes what we're actually doing is talking about our thoughts instead. Thoughts are those stories we tell ourselves, the explanations and the diagnoses we give to people in situations to help us make sense of things. Feelings are what arise when our needs are either met or not met, and they are either comfortable, happy feelings or uncomfortable ones like sadness, anger or frustration. When we say things like, I feel like you don't care, are we really talking about our feelings or are we actually talking about our thoughts? It might sound like we're being picky about this, but it makes a real difference in what people hear us saying and then in how they respond to us. So being clear about whether we are expressing feelings or sharing our thoughts is another useful thing to practice. Keep asking yourself, is this a thought or a feeling?
Let's have a look at I feel like you don't care about me, because it's a really good example that is pretty loaded with judgment and storytelling and could well end up in an argument if the fight mode is really active, or someone shutting down or running away if the flight or freeze mode kicks in. What that's actually saying is, the story I'm telling myself about what just happened is that it means you don't care about me. It's a thought, not a feeling. So the feeling in there could be sadness, fear, maybe feeling uneasy or lost, but that isn't what was said, and it won't be what was heard by the other person either. The other person is going to hear blame and judgment for having done something that's upset you. When we say, I feel like, I feel as if, I feel when, I feel that, I feel you should, we're not actually expressing any feelings. We're saying, I think, or the story I'm telling myself about that is.
Why would we do that? We do it because feelings can be uncomfortable to feel, let alone to tell someone else about it. Sometimes they are almost unbearable and we'll do anything to make them stop. Sometimes we don't even have the right words to describe what we're feeling, so we push that away with our language and we pass it on to the next person. We encourage you to be brave and let yourself feel what you're feeling and give it a name. Feelings come in waves, and just like the waves on the beach, feelings will come, wash over you, and then go away again. Intense, big emotions will feel uncomfortable, but they don't last as long if we pause, take a deep breath, and accept that they're there. In fact, they pass quicker if we face them, rather than trying to push them away. Let's think about this idea with a sibling relationship, where one child feels upset with the other one for being left out. Habit might mean that we say, don't be silly, do something else. Or to shout at the sibling and say something like, don't be mean to your brother, you're being selfish. What has worked well for me, and surprised me, is instead wondering about what they both need. I can see you're upset. It doesn't seem fair, does it? Here I'm helping the child understand their emotion. And then, I wonder if your brother just wants some time on their own. Remember the list of needs? It could be anything from that list. This could be a need for autonomy, or calm, or independence. You'll probably hear the, yes, but, and you'll need to go with that and also keep repeating that you can see one of them needs things to be fair and that the other probably wants some time alone and that it is nothing personal. Because when we tap into what both kids need, we are teaching them both skills and moving towards understanding things from another point of view. And this is the skill that we all need going through our whole lives, because when we understand ourselves and other people, we do not stay as angry or as sad as long, and the feelings pass. The situation calms down.
A more worrying behaviour is when children say something shocking like, I feel like I want to die, or I feel like I don't want to be here. The same technique can be used with any situation, however serious the words may sound. First pause, take a breath, let your own big feelings come and pass, and then we can help to pick up the feelings, teasing them out from thoughts and stories and really listening. So I use these cards a lot for myself and when I'm having difficult conversations. When I feel really upset or like I've hit a bit of a wall with things, I can take out these cards and pick out the words that best match how I'm feeling first of all. Initially, there can be a lot when the feelings are big and overwhelming. But when I go back through that first hand of cards again, I can narrow them down to 2 or 3. When I have a look at these needs cards, and then it's quite easy to identify what my need was that was sitting under the feelings. Sometimes it comes as a bit of a surprise. What I can then do is take those cards with me to have a conversation with someone else, and it helps me explain how I'm feeling and what would help me in that moment. And when I'm looking through the cards, what I'm also doing is taking a pause and a deep breath and letting the feelings wash over me so the heat goes out of a situation. When we're learning new ways to speak and listen, tools like these can help us gain confidence and build our skills.
I use this list of feelings a lot with the families I work with in a similar way. I encourage people to think about the words they use, and I want to share one idea with you now, as it has been really helpful for lots of people and they feel less blamed and judged. Here's an example. You make me feel so angry when you do that. The words "you make me" puts the blame on the other person, and the feeling isn't owned at all by the person feeling it. What's more helpful to say is, "I feel so angry when that happens." Because then you're owning the feeling and you're not blaming someone else for how you feel. Straight away, there is less conflict because we are not pointing the finger of blame at someone.
The big news is that no one makes us feel anything. Remember in the previous film when we talked about needs and how our feelings come and go to let us know whether our needs have been met or not. If it was true that other people make us feel things, then we would always respond with the same feelings to the same behaviour. But we don't, do we? It depends very much on our own mood and frame of mind, whether we're tired or hungry or upset about something else at the same time. I expect there will be times when you see your children running about and shouting as them playing and having fun, and you'd feel happy to see that. And on another day, you'll respond to exactly the same behaviour with annoyance or anger or embarrassment because you need some peace or you're in a public place where you might be aware of people's judgments. So why does that even matter? Just words. No one notices, do they? Well, they might not notice the words, but we do notice the feelings that we feel because of the words. And as we said at the beginning, imagine being told that someone believes that you don't care about them when you really do.
A little boy said to me when I asked him what he was doing when I saw him hitting another child, "I have an anger management problem, miss." He was 7. I replied, "You don't have an anger management problem. We all have anger. It's what we do with the anger that matters." Labelling someone who feels big feelings as problematic is not the most helpful. We don't need a diagnosis. We need to be heard and understood.
So far, we've covered 3 of the 4 steps in our process. When, this is where we observe what's happened, describe it as factually as we can, and then put in that big full stop before we start storytelling and diagnosing. I feel. This is where we say what we're feeling and take care not to add in those thoughts and stories. Because this is where we share the unmet need that's sitting under our feelings. And in the next film, we'll cover the last step, which is to make requests of others and to know the difference between a request and a demand. 3 takeaways from this film. 1, people don't just do things. There's always a thought and a feeling involved too. 2, expressing feelings and not thoughts. And 3, no one makes us feel anything. So take responsibility for your feelings when you express them. Equally, know that you're not making anyone else feel anything either, although your behaviour can make it much more likely that certain feelings will arise.